Okay, well, no doubt this qualifies for me doing an emergency video here on the channel because this is serious. What I just found out here on an off night, I'm at home, I'm just enjoying downtime, free time, watching some Ted Lasso, and then I saw this, an article somebody sent to me to check out from the Nevada Independent, and the headline is this: sources say Lombardo and lawmakers are on board with planned $1 billion Las Vegas baseball stadium. Right, this is the results of the Oakland A's and their efforts across really the last few months, but mostly the last few years, in trying to figure out what's possible and what is available in Southern Nevada. This is their pursuits. And we knew it would surface at some point. Like, what are you doing? What are you working on? Who are you working with? There wasn't really much out there to be reported on or digested, but this does seem like the tip of the iceberg. I'm also going to show you an article from the Las Vegas Review-Journal in just a second where there are some interesting quotes, but first let's peruse this. The Oakland A's and Red Rock Resorts are closing in on an agreement to construct a $1 billion baseball stadium north of Allegiant Stadium with the support of Governor Joe Lombardo and top lawmakers in a deal that will not involve new taxes. Multiple sources confirmed to the Nevada Independent on Wednesday. Yeah, this is Wednesday night as I'm doing this here. In fact, this article coming out at 8:58 p.m., this was less than an hour ago since this was even published. Then the Review-Journal has published something since then, just minutes ago, which I'll get to. According to sources who spoke on the condition of anonymity ahead of a formal announcement, the A's will cover the cost for the 30,000 to 35,000 seat retractable roof stadium to house the Major League Baseball franchise on nearly a 100-acre site near Tropicana Boulevard and Interstate 15. This state will pitch in through the creation of a special taxation district covering the stadium site, which would allow for sales tax proceeds to be reinvested in the area, along with an allocation of transferable tax credits estimated to be worth around $500 million. Sounds like that's the break for doing this, is we can't help you out with money, but we will give you $500 million in tax credits for future use. The site was reportedly considered as a location for what is now Allegiant Stadium, which was ultimately built a mile south for $1.9 billion. The team has been exploring the Las Vegas Valley for a new home for much of the past 2 years. A 20-acre portion of the site housed the Wild Wild West Casino, which was closed and demolished back in September. The site will be combined with an adjoining 80 acres for the stadium. So real quick, I do want to show you where this site is and what this is all about. Just for context here. So this is T-Mobile Arena, and if you go south just a little bit, in fact, when this satellite picture was taken, there is Allegiant Stadium, and that Wild Wild West casino they're talking about, it still existed here on this satellite photo. It's right here. So I'm assuming that it's probably this big chunk of land. Again, and this is I-15, right? The Strip is right here. I-15 is right here. I think there's an In-N-Out Burger or something like right around here, but this is prominently the site I would expect that's under discussion, which is interesting, right? Because all that we had heard before was the Tropicana Hotel site, the Rio site, which is right here, and then it's funny, I know all this stuff now. I could find it in an instant, and then the festival grounds just north of Circus Circus. Those were all things that were discussed. So when we say that this kind of comes out of nowhere, yeah, I mean, nobody in recent times was talking about this location at all. And it's a good location, right? I mean, if you like T-Mobile Arena, the only difference here is that you're just on the other side of I-15, but you're a lot closer to the Strip proper and everything where tourists are, and you are in a very centralized location. I would have to say that this location, much better than the Rio site, which was obviously well talked about. Okay, let me go back to this here. In the late 2000s, Red Rock, then known as Station Casinos, announced plans to build Viva, a Strip resort-sized development on the site, though the recession halted that project. The A's had been considering those three other sites we just talked about on the resort corridor, the festival grounds at the corner of Sahara Avenue and the Las Vegas Strip, a portion of the Tropicana Las Vegas, and an empty parcel on the grounds of the Rio Hotel Casino. Well, on the campaign trail, Lombardo, who was just, has just taken office this past January, he made a promise to never raise taxes. It's a promise that sources said Lombardo intends to keep through the deal, requiring the A's to cover the cost of the stadium and the allocation of transferable tax credits. The proposed deal would need to be introduced as a bill and pass out of the legislature, which is more than halfway through its 120-day session. And I believe that they do close that session in early June. And that's why we've been saying all along that we would have a really good idea what the A's options even were in Las Vegas. Like, they were going to go hard by hiring all these lobbyists to figure out what their situation is in Las Vegas. And it seems here like we now firmly understand what their situation is in Las Vegas. Public records indicate that the governor met for an Oakland A's policy discussion and with the Oakland A's on 2 occasions in February. In February, The Independent learned the A's had hired 18 lobbyists for the state's 120-day legislative session. A's president David Cavill is also registered as a lobbyist. A formal announcement of the deal is expected sometime Thursday. That's tomorrow, formal announcement time. Sources confirmed. Red Rock Resorts is scheduled to report first quarter earnings on May 4th, and company executives are expected to discuss the stadium project then, probably in a lot more detail. Sources indicated that legislative leaders were briefed on the plans for the stadium and seemed generally supportive. Assembly Speaker Steve Yeager did not respond to a request for comment late Wednesday. Now, I also appreciate this from the Nevada Independent, who say they are a 501c3 nonprofit news organization. They're committed to transparency and disclose all our donors. The following people or entities mentioned in this article are financial supporters of our work. Station Casinos, who I believe is probably part of the land deal. You could see where they're getting the story from. Like, they are a contributor to the Nevada Independent. And so is Governor Lombardo, to the tune of $1,800. Let's go back up and see him right there. Oh, wait a second. Yep, I slipped on the mouse there. Here he is right here, announcing the F1 construction from, Thursday the 13th of April, just late last week. So, you can see pretty clearly where this story developed from, just considering, 2 of the entities who are mentioned here prominently, big parts of this, are also financial contributors to this publication. Okay, so there is that. And then moments ago, as I'm getting ready to record this, there is this. And I haven't even read through this once, but I'm about to do it for the first time here with you. Oakland A's enter binding purchase agreement for Las Vegas ballpark site. And this comes to us from Mick Akers, who's been covering the Las Vegas side of this the entire time. In fact, here's a photo of the land where the Wild Wild West gambling hall and hotel was operating until some point last year, until September when it got knocked over. So there it is. That's what we're looking at right there in terms of the site. The Oakland A's have zeroed in on Southern Nevada, signing a binding purchase agreement for land just west of the Strip where a Major League ballpark could be constructed. The agreement is for 49 acres, so it's interesting, right? We heard like 20 plus 50, now 49. So again, these are all different details, but same idea, same big picture here. The agreement is for 49 acres at Dean Martin Drive and Tropicana Avenue, owned by Red Rock Resorts, parent company of Station Casinos. Quote, for a while, we were on parallel paths with Oakland, but we have turned our attention to Las Vegas to get a deal here for the A's and find a long-term home, A's President Dave Cavill told the Review-Journal today on Wednesday. Quote, Oakland has been a great home for us for 50 years, over 50 years. But we really need this 20-year saga completed, and we feel there's a path here in Southern Nevada to do that. End quote. With the announcement of the purchase agreement, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred concurs with Cavill and hopes that the A's shifting their efforts solely to Southern Nevada will lead to the end of the team's years-long quest to leave crumbling Oakland Coliseum. Quote, we support the A's turning their focus on Las Vegas and look forward to them bringing finality to this process by the end of the year, Manfred said in a statement provided to the Review-Journal. The deal is for the land only, with the A's having an option to purchase an additional 8 acres. There you go. There's more land at a later date. Cavill said a $1 billion, 35,000-seat, partially retractable roof stadium would be built on the site. So there's a new detail, new wrinkle. And that ancillary development, including but not limited to food and beverage establishments and even an amphitheater, are also in the cards. It's really exciting to have a site, Cavill said. We spent almost 2 years doing our due diligence, working with community leaders, elected officials, and everyone in town to really determine a location that could be a win for the A's as well as the community and public officials, end quote. With the location being just over Interstate 15 and west of the Strip, Cavill said the site works out for residents and visitors alike. It's a great location not only for tourists because it's in the resort corridor, but it's easy to get to for locals, Cavill said. About 70% of our fans are going to be locals. So that's new information on research right there of what they're saying. About 70% of our fans are going to be locals. So we want to make sure we cater to them to have a great experience at the ballpark, and this location will do that, end quote. The A's have been working with Las Vegas economist Jeremy Aguero. I don't know if my pronunciation is right, and I apologize if it's wrong. I'm just reading this cold for the first time. Jeremy Aguero of Applied Analysis, who determined that the new ballpark would draw around 400,000 incremental visitors annually to Las Vegas. Quote, that's just visitors coming only because the team is here, Las Vegas, Cavill said. Quote, that brings a lot of tax dollars and that helps the community pay for social services and benefits and really creates a positive return on yield for the whole project, end quote. Red Rock Resorts, which owns 100 total acres at the former site of the Wild Wild West property. Okay, that sounds more like the total land size here. Will still control about 50 acres of land in the area once the deal is finalized. The A's portion of the land in the agreement is bordered by Dean Martin to the east, Tompkins Avenue to the north, Procyon Street to the west, and Tropicana to the south. The additional 8 acres of land that is available to the A's is just west of the 49 acres bordered by Valley View Boulevard, Tropicana, and Procyon. Don't know what that is. This site is just over a mile north of Allegiant Stadium on Dean Martin and is a little over a mile west of T-Mobile Arena, which is located just off of Tropicana and Las Vegas Boulevard. Quote, it's really in the sports district, Cavill said. So you have all the stadiums kind of clustered in one spot. I think that creates a powerful zone, a kind of energy that it will benefit the community and also help us be successful running a baseball team, end quote. To further that synergy, there's also a possibility that the A's would have a pedestrian bridge constructed from their ballpark over I-15 linking to Park Avenue at T-Mobile Arena. So you'd have this connection to the Strip, quote, Cavill says, you'd have this connection to the Strip, which would be great for tourists getting in and out of the location, Cavill said. It's also a nice way to knit everything together in a positive way and extend the vibrancy of the area. It also helps the casinos in that area as well as the resorts, end quote. The stadium would be the site of 81-plus Major League games each year in addition to other events and concerts that could take place at the ballpark. The facility would also be a big draw to land big one-off, The facility would also be a big draw to land big one-off baseball events, such as the MLB All-Star Game and the World Baseball Classic. Governor Joe Lombardo is excited about the prospect of another major league sports team calling Southern Nevada home and is looking forward to the next steps in the process. Oh, here's him being quoted now. Quote, welcoming the A's to Las Vegas would be great news for Southern Nevada as well as our entire state, Lombardo said in a statement provided to the Review-Journal. The prospect of bringing new jobs, more economic development, and a historic MLB franchise to Las Vegas is exciting on many levels. As we continue to navigate this opportunity, I'm in regular communication with the A's, Major League Baseball, legislative leadership, and local and state stakeholders, end quote. Okay, so what's next? With the site now identified, the A's will turn toward working on a public-private partnership with state and local officials. The A's have enlisted an army of lobbyists in Carson City for the legislative session. It's the one we're talking about that ends in June, early June. Cavill is one of them. Cavill noted their plan is still being developed and would be revealed at a later date. Quote, to put a package together that hopefully can work for all parties and that can be a positive return on investment, Cavill said. That's the next step in the process. Hopefully that is done in a positive fashion, and then we go to Major League Baseball and apply for relocation, end quote. Assembly Speaker Steve Yeager said he's had preliminary discussions with the A's regarding their location and looks forward to furthering those discussions once the A's legislative plan comes into place. Quote from him. So apparently he was unavailable to the Independent, but here he is for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Quote, I'm excited about the prospect of bringing Major League Baseball to Las Vegas, he told the Review-Journal in a statement. When the time comes, we will vet the proposal, seek input from interested parties, and make the best decision for the people of the great state of Nevada, end quote. The A's are working against a January 2024 deadline set by MLB to get their ballpark deal finalized. If all goes planned, the A's negotiate a public-private partnership that benefits all sides, and MLB approves their relocation. Plans call for crews to break ground on the new Las Vegas ballpark sometime in 2024. Quote, then opening for the 2027 season, Cavill said. That's the current plan right now. Obviously, things need to fall into place, but I think that is an achievable timeline right now, end quote. All right, I don't really want to poach the rest of Mick's great work here. You can check it out. You can check out the piece from the Nevada Independent as well. Again, I'll put links to those below. The reaction is this. I mean, we knew the A's were working hard towards something. And just like they got a lot of work done in Oakland to get Howard Terminal to where it currently is. Now, it has been halted, so it seems, for a long time. And I just read to you more quotes right there from Dave Cavill, from politicians. I mean, we have heard nothing on the Oakland side, the Howard Terminal side, on even the A's front. We've heard nothing for about 6 months. And now we've heard a lot in just 2 articles right there. So it doesn't mean that this is a for sure thing, but when you talk about a binding agreement for land and you talk about now just orchestrating everybody on board of how do we do this, time is ticking a little bit on the Las Vegas side, right? They have to figure this out by the end of the legislative session. The beginning of June is less than 2 months away, obviously, but probably some time and ability to take care of that. But this is, I think what I just showed you there was maybe even more than tip of the iceberg. That might be a view of how big that iceberg is. And I don't think the quotes cut any corners. They pretty much say what the team's intentions are right now. Now, Major League Baseball still has to approve relocation. You know, there was all the talk before from Rob Manfred saying that baseball would waive a relocation fee of probably $2 billion, something around that range. Is that still intact? I don't know. There's a lot to find out about this in the coming days. The fact that it has just come out, this is it. I mean, this is something that Oakland A's fans have known for a while, that it would be the case. Eventually, you would find out this day. And I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow, if there really is an announcement, that you see some renderings and everything. Right? The A's have been working on this. Like, they have been making progress. To think that they were just sitting idle on it is not true. So when things got very quiet, this is what they've been working on. I don't know that Oakland has a response. When I say Oakland, I mean the city of Oakland. Now, granted, it could also be argued that these two projects have operated independently from each other. They've already figured out pretty much what the deal might look like in Oakland, but what could it look like in Las Vegas? And if Las Vegas can present anything competitive side by side to Oakland, I mean, that might be how it all ends right there. As simple as that. So a few more things obviously need to take place, but this is a big one. The A's have found their partner. They've found their land. They found their site. They've identified it. There's no more questioning. There's no more Tropicana site. There's no more Rio site, festival grounds, da-da-da-da-da. We know what they're in on. We know what they're going to want to do. We know their timeline. And for all the time that we've been trying to sort things out, figure things out, chase this story, it's hard. Nobody talks. But you knew this part, this result of hard work would be coming. And now here it is. So we'll figure out what to do with it in the coming days, but I thought that was worth passing along here in this video. Okay. I'm sure you'll put some comments down below. I would hope that you'd give some thumbs up and subscribe to the channel here. Help me out. Help me continue covering this story. Talk to you next time.